In this series, I've been on the hunt for Britain's fraudsters, from the phishing scammer who nets anything up to £100,000 a week. Would you see yourself as a criminal?
I'm not gonna be a criminal. Cool. One person who goes out and gets it.
To romance scammers, conning lonely hearts out of their life savings. You've also told me that you are from the Ukraine. You're calling from Nigeria, Lily. Drop the act.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you.
Well, that's not very polite. To the boiler room worker who spills the beans on what it is like to live life like the Wolf of Wall Street. Essentially, what you're gifted at is stealing from people.
It is.
And the forger who will forge just about anything for just about anyone. What about if it's someone that you know is actively involved in violence, a hitman, a murderer? Because these people do use these types of documents. It's fair game for you.
Yeah.
But there is one type of fraudster that I'm still very keen, almost desperate to get a face-to-face with, and that is the ghost broker, along with their £1 million scams where they sell insurance that ends up being either invalid or completely fake before they vanish into thin air. This is the story of my hunt to catch one. Now, we all know that to drive a car in the UK, you need more than fluffy dice and a pine forest air freshener. You need insurance. But what if you're to pay for that insurance and do so in good faith, only to find out you were never insured in the first place when the worst happens? This is the world of the ghost broker. Criminals who sell fake or invalid motor insurance and then vanish into the night. It is a very, very real problem. You may even have an insurance certificate that looks like the real deal, looks authentic, but if it's not worth the paper it's written on, then, you know, after a serious accident, you could be left penniless and or facing charges. In the last 5 years, it's estimated this scam has pulled in £11.5 million. Good morning. All right. So what exactly is it that a ghost broker does, Ben?
A ghost broker is a fraudster that sells entirely fake insurance policies to unsuspecting members of the public that aren't worth the paper they're written on. They steal their money and disappear into the sunset.
So how and where do they conduct their business? Is it on the high street? Is it online? You know, where is it that they work from?
So ghost brokers can operate in a number of different areas. Commonly they'll advertise online, so they'll use social media, they'll use online adverts like eBay, Gumtree. Sometimes they'll use newspapers. Sometimes they'll even go to the extent of setting up a fake website, but normally it's done through the internet in some way. The reason that people are attracted to a ghost broker principally is because they promise an incredibly cheap premium in comparison to what all the other insurance companies and brokers are offering. And the reason they can do that is the policy that they're offering is not worth the paper it's written on.
So what generally is the level of sophistication that you will find when investigating a ghost broker? What types of people are they?
The sophistication in how these ghost brokers operate varies. At one end, we've got essentially kids messing around with pay-as-you-go mobiles, operating it as a hobby. At the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got people that are making hundreds of thousands of pounds out of this, running it like a legitimate business, apart from the fact that it's an entirely criminal enterprise.
So there can be, in theory at least, big money in this. It's big business.
Ghost brokers will find significant money in this if they want to. We've seen cases where ghost brokers have made hundreds of thousands of pounds out of these scams, and in a relatively short space of time.
So it seems to me, in terms of a type of fraud, this could be a little bit complicated. There's quite a lot of documents to come up with. You've got to walk the walk, talk the talk. How are they pulling this off?
Some of the more sophisticated methods we see, these ghost brokers will actually try to take policies out, pretending to be the member of the public to generate the documentation. The issue is that person, that ghost broker, pretending to be the consumer, is lying about all the details. So whilst the policy may look convincing to the customer, the reality is it's not worth the paper it's written on.
So this could have very serious implications for the innocent member of the public, couldn't it?
can be significant. Firstly, they can have their car seized for no insurance. That could lead to prosecution, could lead to fines, and could lead to their car being crushed. If they're involved in an accident, they could be personally responsible for the entire cost of that. So that could not only be for the damage to somebody else's car, but if unfortunately people are injured, they could be liable for that and their legal costs as well.
Okay. Well, look, very good to meet you.
And
Thanks
you.
for taking the
Thank you.
time, all right? No one knows how many people are driving around having bought a policy from a ghost broker. But this raid by City of London police alone reveals the scale of the problem.
On any knock like this, we like to get in as quick as we can. It's very important for all sorts of reasons. Officer safety, safety of the occupants, and also for securing evidence, is that we gain quick entry and take control of the premises.
After a tip-off about unusual activity targeting a big insurance company, City of London police traced it back to one address.
So we've got a search warrant to search, and we'll seize computer equipment, mobile phones that we believe were used to take out the policies, and documentation relating to insurance policies.
Open the door.
Hello, police.
Open the door, please. Please.
We've all done this a few times before, but you can't relax because you just don't know. Every address is different. You never actually know until you go through the door, so you've got to be on your toes.
Morning.
Morning.
Police officers.
Yeah.
We've got a search warrant for the address. Do you speak English?
Yes,
Yeah.
you need to.
Okay. We have a search warrant, so we've got a warrant to search this address. Do you understand? The court have issued a warrant that allows us to search this address.
It's a result. The suspected ghost broker, Maurer Dimitru, is home.
Do you mind, just stop a minute. Do you mind just speaking in English? Just speak in English, okay? Otherwise we'll just take one of you to the car and we'll...
That's all right.
Meanwhile, the search continues upstairs.
A lot of laptops. It's not a common place to keep laptops in your bathroom, is it?
And they're not the only ones.
They found a pile of laptops in the wardrobe, so we'll seize them.
Along with the laptops, police find a treasure trove of paperwork.
On one day, there are 5 separate payments to the one insurance company, each going out for sums between 40, 50, 60 pounds. That is highly unusual and wouldn't normally happen on a genuine policyholder's account. So we've got 5 separate payments going out. It's very good evidence for us. There is also sums of money being deposited into the account, several deposits of £1,200, £150, £800. So there's money coming into the account which we would suspect to be from people that are buying the bogus policies from these suspects. Busy bank account she's got there.
And it earns Dimitru 20 months behind bars. Coming up, my team are on the hunt for a ghost broker. The stats tell me that it's a multi-million-pound business.
Definitely, it's definitely in the millions.
And going undercover reveals the dodgy insurance being sold on the streets of Birmingham.
What about, you were talking about the MOTs and the road taxes as well?
We'll get the road tax, no problem.
Insurance fraud is big business. It's costing us £1.3 billion each year. One of the most difficult to stop is a scam called ghost broking. Usually run from rogue websites, these fraudsters offer discounted motor insurance, only you turn out not to be insured and they disappear with your money. It sounds like a sort of snazzy, snappy title, doesn't it? Ghost broker, but let me tell you, they're not ghosts. They are very, very much real, and I want to find one. To help, I'm turning to my fixer, Tony Sales. Tony was once known as Britain's biggest fraudster, and he's still very well connected in the underworld. In fact, what Tony doesn't know about fraud isn't worth knowing. So what types of people are ghost brokers? Are these particularly malicious? Are they organised? Are they amateurs?
That kind of fraudster doesn't care about the victim, because this is very much, you know, if people say in fraud you don't see the victim, so they class fraud as a victimless crime, whereas this is very much has victims in it. You know, they don't care about anything other than the money. There's no morals in this.
The stats tell me that it's a multi-million-pound business.
Definitely, it's definitely in the millions. These guys seem to be making a lot of money. They drive nice cars and stuff, so they're obviously doing very well out there.
So a clever ghost broker then is going to target people that under normal circumstances struggle to get insurance. So they're 17, 18, looking to get insurance and they're finding it difficult somewhere else, or they target elderly people whose premiums might be skyrocketing. Does that make sense to you?
Totally, because it goes for the market. So the 17-year-old driver nowadays, the premiums can be as much as £2,500 for a premium. You know, if you're getting offered that at 1,700 quid without the little box that's got to go in your car, of course they'll target those type of people. It's disgusting.
What about the ghost brokers? Where would they have gotten my email address or my phone number? How are they coming to my door, sort of?
Your information is out there, unfortunately, for sale, okay? And if it ends up in the wrong hands, okay, there are, you know, the ghost brokers will use that information to make money.
So, but where are they going to get that information? I mean, as far as I know, I've been relatively careful with my phone number, email address, home address, all that stuff.
Okay, so I may go into a van hire company and you may have been in there previously the day before and just left sitting on the side because the person who's working in the van hire company isn't aware of how to keep data secure. Your stuff's left laying there. You know, that's just another one to add to my list.
So as a fraudster, when you're in that mindset, you're constantly looking for information, wherever you are, to see if someone's just been a little bit careless. All with the sole aim of ripping people off and getting their cash.
It becomes second nature to them. Every day you give your name away, that's giving something of you away. I always say to people, your passwords are like your virginity. You should never just give them away freely to anyone.
So what am I letting myself in for here? How easy or difficult is it going to be to find these characters?
I've been asking about, and hopefully, you know, someone will come back to me. We'll just have to see.
Yeah. Good man. Take it easy. So, I suppose it is fair to say there was good news and bad news there with Tony. The good news is that having spoken to him, I now know or have a better idea of how they operate, how they pull customers in and the places where they're at least likely to be found. But the bad news is that they're very difficult to find. It's not so much chasing shadows this time, it's literally chasing ghosts. And if Tony says it's going to be difficult, that's exactly what it will be. But all I can do now is sit tight and hope. One organisation dedicated to stopping them is the Insurance Fraud Bureau. And in 2013, Jason Potter picked up a lead that would put him on the hunt for one of Britain's biggest ghost brokers.
It was evident that the same features were appearing time and time again. The indicators were leading us in the direction of an individual by the name of Mafdi.
Jason was pretty sure from the moment go that he was on to an established ghost broker.
Mafdi's email address was continuously being used to take out these policies, and it was evident that Mafdi had not only been targeting one insurer, but many.
When he started digging, Jason and his team discovered that Mafdi had a very particular modus operandi. A Romanian national himself, he was targeting other Romanians living in the UK, offering cheap policies.
The victim will contact the ghost broker to try and gain cover. The ghost broker then will take the individual's details, especially their name and their vehicle registration number. They will go away and quite often engage via a price comparison site, reducing the risk details such as age, conviction, claims histories, reducing that to bring a premium down. If they're involved in any sort of motor incident, there'll be no cover in force for them. So financially, they will lose out on both the money that they've paid the ghost broker and the potential repair costs to their vehicle.
Now, on the surface, it appeared that Mafty was selling real insurance from multiple insurance companies, but in reality, it wasn't worth the paper it was printed on.
He was not only engaging with the insurance industry over the internet via price comparison websites, but he was also backing that up with fake documents to make him appear genuine.
6 months into the investigation, Jason got the break he'd been hoping for.
We received a report from Kent Police that an individual had been stopped for driving without insurance. The individual presented a certificate of insurance to the police officer and gave Mafty's name as the source of the certificate.
Although the driver had an insurance certificate, when police checked, they discovered that the details on it weren't accurate. And the more they looked, the more they found.
The investigation established Mafty had been involved in over 2,500 quotations, in taking out hundreds, if not thousands, of insurance policies.
When the case went to court, ghost broker Mafty had disappeared. In his absence, he was convicted on 2 counts of fraud. He will be sentenced when he's tracked down and arrested.
Not only have we removed Mafty from being a thorn in the side of the insurance industry, which he was for multiple years, but also there's some vindication there for the victims that Mafty preyed upon.
Mafty's disappearance again shows just how difficult it is to get to meet one of these ghost brokers. To be honest, it seems unlikely these types of people, as in ghost brokers, are going to target someone like me with their type of marketing, let's say. I'm a UK resident and, you know, I'm more likely to go directly to a reputable, more legitimate insurer, so I'll probably fly under their radar. So to track these types of people and criminals down, I'm going to have to dig a lot deeper than usual. So I've brought in Hiram, a specialist in undercover work, and I'm hoping he can catch someone in the act. Well, how are you?
Not too bad, thank
You
you.
well? Good to see you. Good to see you. So in terms of where these ghost brokers hang out, how we find them, how we dig them up and bring them to the surface, what have you found so far? What have you got for me?
Well, look, to start off with, these guys are very tricky to get hold of. Very, very elusive. Initially, the internet was the obvious target.
Sure.
There's a lot of this activity online on a number of social networking websites, but they're very hard to get hold of in person.
Of course.
These people appear for a few weeks, make their money, catch their victims, and then they disappear.
And then gone again, and then come back again on those same social networking sites under a different alias, a different name, a different company.
Absolutely.
Crafty. Talk to me about locations then, based on what you've found. So what parts of the country do you think are hotspots?
Well, look, it's the big urban areas, you know, parts of the Midlands and the Northwest.
Okay.
They're hubs of a whole range of motoring and car crimes, including car insurance.
So it's networks in those areas that you've been concentrating on and targeting. So is it a degree of separation things? You're starting with your contacts and hoping they'll know someone who knows someone, and eventually you'll make your way to the right person. Is that what you're thinking? Is that the approach?
For them to emerge from their kind of dark world,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen that easily. We're going to have to ease them out. We're going to have to build a bit of trust with them, get to know them. There's going to be somebody who's introduced me that they can trust to be able to speak to us.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah, I'll do my best.
Okay, so let's stay in touch. Be safe and keep me posted.
Take care.
All right, good man. Still to come. Undercover in Birmingham, Hiram finds a ghost broker.
So I just give you the number plate of the car.
And I'm on the other side of insurance fraud as I confront a gang of cash for crash scammers. Paint the picture for me then. Who are you waiting to target?
Oh, most of the older people and the women, you know what I mean?
I think it's fair to say that catching a fraudster of any kind at all is anything but easy. I mean, look, if it was easy, then they'd be no good at what they do. Now, would they? But when it comes to this, when it comes to making my way inside the world of a ghost broker, it's proving especially difficult. These scammers lure you in with the promise of cheap car insurance. By the time you've realised it doesn't exist, well, they've disappeared. And so far my fixers haven't got anyone to agree to come on camera. So I've brought in Hiram, a specialist investigator who's been undercover in Birmingham. And I'm hoping he's had more luck.
Hello?
How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, any luck so far? Where have you been looking and what have you found?
And I've managed to find a few ghost brokers who we know were actively selling these kind of policies. But they're proving very, very difficult to convince to speak to us about anything like that on camera. They've got too much to lose. And they're just very reluctant to speak to people that A, they don't trust, and they know the repercussions of what could happen to them if they were caught. So that's proving difficult.
All right. So that's the bad news. Tell me you've got some good news for me.
But yeah, we found this one guy.
So how reliable is this guy?
So there's no guarantees. He says he will do it, but to be perfectly honest with you, it's touch and go.
All right, well done. See you.
Right.
Hopefully Hiram will get his man to play ball, but it sounds a way off being a sure thing. This is certainly proving to be the toughest investigation of the series. But thankfully, not all fraudsters are so elusive. Simon May is an investigator at the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency and was part of the team that finally landed a long-time fraudster called Vincent Woolsgrove.
Vince has been a commercial diver for most of his life and is very experienced and an expert in technical diving. Vince was part of a group of divers from the Kent area and had been asked to give his expert help in recovering cannons on the River Thames.
The cannons were from a ship called the London. Built in the 17th century, it once carried Charles II himself. But 9 years later, it sank near Southend, taking 300 crew members with it. And that's where it lay for 350 years, until it was found again, and Vince became involved.
The River Thames has got very poor visibility, and Vince dived the area and did a fingertip search, and that's when he came across the cannons.
Vince had discovered 2 ornate bronze cannons, each weighing around 3 tons. Found in British waters, Vince did the right thing and informed the authorities. The cannons were then recovered from the riverbed, and everyone was happy. But soon after, Vince had more amazing news.
Vince declared that he found 3 other cannons 42 miles northeast of the original cannon site in international waters in an area called North Foreland.
Now, because Vince found these 3 Dutch cannons way off the coast in international waters, it meant they didn't belong to the Crown. They belonged to Vince.
At that time, when he declared them, we had nothing to disprove his claim. As soon as Vince was awarded title of these cannons, he put them into a London auction and they were sold immediately to an American buyer.
Vince was up 52 grand. And although his story of where he found the cannons was a bit too fishy for Simon, there was little he could do.
After the cannons were sold, I had to put this case to bed because of lack of evidence.
Then, 4 years later, the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency were tipped off that Vince had lots of artefacts that hadn't been declared.
From receiving this information, we thought that this is really exciting because the quality of cannons he's recovered already, what is he not telling us? What has he got as property?
Armed with a search warrant, Simon and the team decided to take a look and were astonished by what they found.
During the search warrant, we found 4 ton of Elizabethan tin ingots in his garage, worth around £60,000, along with several ship's bells, including the Trinity House bell, which he turned into a coffee table.
It didn't stop there, because in his back garden under tarpaulin, they unearthed another priceless Dutch cannon.
This cannon is the only one known of existence, and incredibly rare. and worth at least £100,000.
But it also made Simon convinced there had been a fraud, that the 3 Dutch cannons Vince claimed he'd found in international waters had been from the ship, the London. But what he needed was proof.
When Vince was arrested, we seized his computer equipment, and found on that equipment was photographs showing the recovery of 3 Dutch cannons with Southend featured in the background. When we saw the photographs of these cannons, we thought, this is it. We can prove where these cannons had really come from.
Bang to rights, Woolsgrove admitted the fraud, for which he received 2 years behind bars. Not only that, he had to pay costs and fork out for a proceeds of crime order to the tune of £86,000. The ancient Dutch cannons are now back in the UK from the US and will soon be on display in Southend. Back on the hunt for a ghost broker, my fixer, Hiram, has been working on his contacts in Birmingham for 3 weeks now. So, the question at this stage is, can Hiram convince someone, and by someone I mean a ghost broker, to talk to me on camera? And I'm hoping he has good news for me.
Hello?
How are you doing? What's the score? What have you got for me?
Now, I've spoken to this guy, and I've tried my best to get him to open up. The only problem is, he's got too much to lose, and despite my best efforts, he's just not willing to open up and speak to us on camera.
Okay, so the only way to deal with someone like him, as you and I know, to get as much information as we possibly can, is to secretly film him. So, let's figure out what kind of operation this fella has, and then once that's happened, let's talk and let's see where we are, yeah?
Fine, that's absolutely not a problem. I'll come back to you on that.
Okay, take it easy, talk soon.
All right, take care.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. Ghost brokers aren't the only fraudsters preying on the motor insurance industry. One of the most dangerous is a scam called Cash for Crash, and I've investigated it before. Paint the picture for me then. So you and Lucky, he's your passenger, you're the driver. Fixer gives you the car.
Yeah.
Who are you waiting to target?
Most of the older people and the women, you know what I mean? The young women that drive sometimes very fast. So we just take the details and just off.
So when you crash into younger women or elderly people, it's because they're vulnerable. They'll be frightened and shocked.
That's right.
So those are the people that you prey on, you exploit.
Exactly.
This highly organized gang deliberately crash into other cars and then make massive false insurance claims for damage and personal injury, sometimes running into the hundreds of thousands of pounds. And has anybody ever been injured in a crash that you were involved in, Romy? Have any of the passengers of the other cars, the elderly women or the women?
We had one day, 1 year ago, a big accident on M25. That time, I think the air ambulance coming, they picked few people from there.
So you caused this accident?
Oh,
you and another driver?
Yeah, another drivers, yeah.
So they could have been killed?
There was a lot of blood, you know, they come in.
When I met the Crash for Cash gang, it was clear to me, at least, that it was only a matter of time before somebody ended up killed. And, well, that's exactly what's happened. Andrew Penhale is a senior prosecutor with the Crown Prosecution Service. And in 2017, Andrew oversaw the case of a crash in which an elderly woman died.
The case was first referred to me as an allegation of causing death by careless driving involving a man called Mohammed Ubadillah. He had been involved in a road traffic collision which had caused the death of an 88-year-old woman called Betty Laird. Betty Laird was driving through Beeston in Leeds with a friend, and the car in which Betty Laird was the front seat passenger turned right in front of the car being driven by Mohammed Ubadela, and he wasn't able to stop.
Sitting in the passenger seat, Betty took the direct force of the impact. She suffered serious injuries, breaking her back in 3 places, as well as a number of ribs and her pelvis.
She was taken to hospital, but unfortunately the medical teams weren't able to save her life, and she died shortly afterwards.
In his police interview, Mohammed admitted he had driven carelessly and he was charged.
We charged him with causing death by careless driving, and we had every expectation that he would go to court and would plead guilty as soon as the case arrived in the Crown Court. Much to our surprise, at the first hearing in the Crown Court, he gave an indication that he was actually not the driver of the vehicle.
Police then checked for evidence of who had been in the car.
The police found DNA on the driver's airbag, which belonged to a man called Sabir Hussain. On the front seat passenger's airbag, they identified DNA related to a man called Raja Hussain. And from a bottle recovered from the car, they identified DNA belonging to a man called Mir. At that point, because of the admissions made in interview by Ubadela, we knew that the case involved a cash for crash.
In that instant, the case changed from a tragic accident to conspiracy to commit fraud.
The plan was that they would drive round Beeston and look for an opportunity to cause a collision. Ubadela would then get into the driver's seat and would claim that he was the driver of the vehicle, and then subsequently they would make some form of false insurance claim.
Ubadela's admission led the police to the home of gang member Raja Hussain.
The front seat passenger, Raja Hussain, was found to have what effectively was a cash for crash factory in his home address. The police, when they arrested him, searched his house and found documentation to suggest that he'd been involved in a number of insurance claims and scams in the past.
This, alongside Ubadela's evidence of what happened on the day of the crash, placed Hussain as the kingpin.
We concluded that Raja was the ringleader because when the men were driving the vehicle looking for an opportunity to crash a car, and the car containing Betty Laird turned right in front of them, Raja Hussain shouted, "Go, go, go," which then led to the collision that caused her death. These men had been involved in a criminal conspiracy to commit fraud, and they had caused the death of Betty Laird. So that led to a much more serious investigation.
Ubadela was one of the key witnesses at the trial, having by now signed a cooperation witness agreement with police.
Mohammed Ubadela gave his evidence, and the trial ran its almost full course.
But before the trial ended, the gang made one last-ditch attempt to get off.
The judge heard from a number of jurors that they had been approached by people outside the court. This followed an incident when a fire alarm had gone off at Leeds Crown Court and everyone had left the building, and the jurors thought that they may have been filmed by people outside the court. So the judge concluded that there had been a concerted and organised attempt to interfere with and tamper with the jury.
In an extremely rare move, Mr. Justice Goss discharged the jury, saying that in the interest of justice, he should make the judgment himself.
Raja Hussain, the ringleader, was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. Sabir Hussain, the driver, was sentenced to 12.5 years imprisonment. And Ubadela, who had admitted the offence and had also given evidence for the Crown, received a significant discount of 6.5 years imprisonment.
Shahrir Islam Mia was sentenced to 4 years for conspiracy to commit fraud. In addition, Raja Hussain and Shahrir Mia were convicted of conspiracy to pervert the course of justice by attempting to bribe members of the jury. The greed of the gang left Betty dead and her family's lives in tatters.
There is no doubt that the death of their mother and grandmother had a huge impact on them. They described that they were appalled at the callousness of the men who had killed her. This case really serves as a timely reminder of the dangers of this type of offending and really the inevitable consequence of cash for crash activity.
Cash for cash fraudsters tend to be part of highly skilled, highly organised gangs, but of course there are other scammers out there doing their thing that are a little more opportunistic. Like the benefits fraudsters who con us out of £40 million a week. It falls to the fraud investigators at the Department of Work and Pensions to head these off, like Pankaj Taylor. One particularly surprising fraudster who came Pankaj's way was a recently divorced woman called Asa Brown, who had applied for a number of benefits.
When the claim was made, it was assessed on the information that was provided and paid out in full. Asa Brown was a single parent. She lived in Warwickshire. She was a law graduate. She wasn't employed. She hadn't got any savings to live off, and she had a small child to support as well at the same time.
Not surprisingly, Asa Brown received housing benefit and council tax benefit. Then there was the job seekers allowance and employment and support allowance, all paid to support her. But after years of paying out these benefits, they got a call.
The initial red flag in this case was the anonymous tip-off that Warwick District Council received that Asa Brown had in fact come into a vast amount of capital.
Pankaj and the team started to investigate, and it wasn't long before they found the smoking gun.
When we actually looked at her financial accounts, we discovered that there were not hundreds but thousands of pounds being deposited on a fairly regular basis.
After starting to claim, Brown had received a £500,000 divorce settlement and bought a flat, which she then rented out.
If I had an income of £1,000 from a rental property in London, I'd be leading quite a comfortable life.
Despite her obvious means, Brown had carried on claiming benefits totalling £27,000.
It was shock, because at the end of the day, this is a lady of means, yet she was still claiming benefit. And the realisation she's done all this, and on top of which she's a law graduate.
It took 3 interviews under caution before she finally admitted to the fraud.
She was charged with failing to dishonestly declare change of circumstances to the department and to Warwick District Council in order to gain benefits she was not entitled to.
Asa Brown was sentenced to 4 months in prison, suspended for 2 years, and was ordered to do 200 hours unpaid work.
She was an intelligent woman. She was a law graduate. She must have known what she was doing wasn't right. I think people don't realise the far-reaching powers that we do have. We have authority and the powers to go into people's bank accounts, all sorts of personal data. So if you are thinking of committing benefit fraud, we will catch you.
Still to come, Undercover in Birmingham, the dodgy car insurance dealer caught in the act.
So these will work though, yeah? 100%. I never issue customer. I'm not gonna lie to you. I never issue.
Back on the trail of the ghost brokers, my fixer so far said he's drawn a complete blank when it comes to getting someone to talk to me on camera. Now, apparently they're saying they've just simply too much to lose, and as this is a multi-million-pound enterprise, well, I can understand why they're concerned. But Hiram, who specialises in undercover work, has had a break. He's found a man in the West Midlands who's selling fraudulent no-claims bonuses, which drivers use to lower their premiums, and caught him on camera.
Bad people, man. Other people, fraudies, Lambos, man. Really. Yeah, taxi drivers as well. Really? Yeah, new past taxi drivers, I couldn't get insured, man. I gave them like 10 years. Yeah, so they like look after them, innit? They look after me, I look after them.
Yeah.
I look after everyone who look after me and son.
Yeah.
Like that. If I can make, I'm not making much on it, I'm not lying to you.
Yeah.
I know people who's charging £400 people.
Really?
Yeah, people. I know one guy comes from Germany, customer job comes from Germany and takes him off me.
No claims bonuses?
No bonuses, European ones, and he goes there.
Oh, to save him money out there?
Yeah, he goes there. Customer goes every 2-3 months, the guy comes.
Bash claims his dodgy insurance documents aren't the only things on sale.
What about, you were talking about the MOTs and the road taxes as well?
We get the road tax, no problem. No logbook, nothing.
How does the road tax work then if you know logbook, nothing?
I'll get him just number plate, innit?
Huh?
I'll get him just a number plate.
So I just give you the number plate of the car? But will it be legit?
Legit from the post office. There's £40 on top, whatever the tax is.
So, all right, so, yeah, I see what you mean. So normally they ask for insurance, don't they, and MOT?
Everything, yeah. But even though you got no MOT, I'll still get it for you.
So all you need is just the
number plate.
The number plate.
Yeah, but a lot of taxi drivers have been hit with like loads of people have done, man. Loads have done vans, ice cream vans.
Really?
Yeah. I used to go to loads of people, man. Probably half the ice cream in Birmingham I've done. Probably over 100, probably more.
Bash then shows Hiram a range of documents as proof of what he can deliver.
They look pretty good, man.
No, he's a broker, he's a proper broker.
Yeah, all right, cool.
He don't mess about, man. I never had an issue, never.
All right, fine. So these will work though, yeah?
100%. I never had issue customer, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I never ever had issues with them.
Back in London, I arranged to meet Hiram to see what else he's been able to find out. So how did you come across this Bash fella? Where did he turn up from?
Well, it was one of the responses that I got from the feelers that I put out in Birmingham initially. I went to meet him and he started talking to me about everything that he does. Everything from fake MOTs, fake tax certificates, insurance documents, driving licenses, and all that kind of stuff. And he says, I've been doing this for years. He says, I've provided documents for people for Lamborghinis, for Ferraris, for Mercs and Beamers, the whole range. So he does all of that.
Yeah.
But he also sells fake no claims certificates. I actually bought one of these policies. Now, what he explained to me was the only way people can bring down their premiums is by having no claims bonuses. So what he does, he can provide legitimate, or apparently legitimate, no claims bonus certificates. Now, it's with recognized brands, recognized companies. He said, all I need is your name, your driver's license, and your age, and I will get you a policy. You can choose how far back do you want it, 5 years, 10 years. In our case, we said 10 years, and it only cost us a couple of £100, £250 to £300 to get a no claim certificate. And I also mentioned to him, look, if you can do it for me, I have many people who also want this because everyone wants to save money. He said, volume is not an issue. Bring me as many as you want. I can deliver you as many as you need.
How big then do you reckon this business is?
He makes a substantial amount of money from this. I mean, he's talked about building up a property empire in Birmingham from this business. He talked about, I've got 50 properties. I sell hundreds of these every month. We're talking about a large operation here that he's been doing for many years.
All in then, I say it's fair to say we've gotten to the top. We've spoken to the people that are ghost brokers and that are running and fueling this business, but even more interestingly, undercover, we found out that an operation such as Bash's is making a huge amount of money, and there are people all over the country with fake documentation plastered on their cars. This is real. This is happening, and it's a big problem. When I kicked off this investigation, the whole idea behind it was to try to figure out how ghost brokers do their business, how they operate, the mechanics on a day-to-day basis, and I've done that. I understand that now, and it's absolutely fascinating to say the least, but what's maybe more interesting is watching someone like Bash operate, and it really hammers home the point that as long as there are people like him out there, there will always be buyers. And as long as there are buyers, you and I will always foot that bill.